And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning. Very happy to welcome back Tammy Mackey-Shrum from Zor Village. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our favorite time of year. We love Zor all the time, but it's something special about Christmas, isn't there?
There is. It's just that magical feeling, and you just kind of feel this, all the rush of the Christmas season, and it just fits with the village.
And boy, if you love an old-fashioned Christmas, this is where to go see it. So it's coming up pretty soon, December 3rd and 4th. Tammy, tell us what we can look forward to this year.
This year, we actually expanded, and we have a lot of crafters in a tent that we have. So we actually have more crafters than we've ever had, and they're in a heated tent, just in case. You never know what the weather's going to do. There'll be crafters in the schoolhouse, and all of them are juried so that they're all completely handmade. And then we have wagon rides for the kids. We have our historical demonstrations going on in almost all of our buildings. We have crafts. Belschnickel is there with Chris Kend. He's kind of German Santa Claus. Just a lot of really fun activities all throughout the day.
What kinds of crafts in particular can we find there? Because this is a great place to go Christmas shopping.
It is. Almost everybody is local or regional. We have some people that do soap making. There's some candle making, some homemade wreaths there that people have decorated. Stained glass, a lot of woodworking, just a little bit of everything that's all handcrafted.
And these kinds of things are in the price range of what, depending on the crafter? What can we expect?
Depends on the crafter. Some of the stuff, you can get for, $5 or so, but some of the people, like we do have a silversmith in, and he does silversmithing and goldsmithing. So, his stuff is comparable to some of the prices that you'd see in a jewelry store.
Oh, sure. But wow, how special to be able to have a handcrafted silver something to give to someone.
Yes.
Oh, my word. And the demos, do the crafters do the demos, or are these different demonstrations of how things were made back then? What demonstrations do we get to see?
There's a little bit of both. The silversmith will be doing his work that day. We also have someone in the tin shop. His name is actually Robin Hood. That's his real name.
Oh, I love it.
But he'll be in the tin shop, and he'll be making tin items while he's there. We have a broom maker that makes brooms on site. And then we have our historical buildings open with our regular historical demonstrations that we do.
Okay, I hope my family doesn't hear this, because so far I'm picking out things for all of you as she's talking about them. But when we really think back to the people who lived in Zor, what would Christmas have looked like for them? Would they have been doing these kinds of things, or was it more simple? Take us back to what reality might have looked at. You know so much about these folks. It's fun.
They probably wouldn't have liked the event.
They would have disapproved.
Yeah, they kept everything extremely simple. They would even, unless Christmas fell on a Sunday, they would continue to work on Christmas Day. And they did that until one Christmas, they had a ceramic horn that every single morning they blew. And that's when you knew to go to the assembly house to get your assignment for the day. So legend goes that the one Christmas morning, they went to go blow the horn to give everyone their assignments, and it broke. And then after that, they decided they would not work on Christmas anymore.
Oh, I wonder what kid got in there and broke
the horn. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, my goodness. That's so interesting. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around that, because it seems like they were a religious order, and it seems like working on a day where you're celebrating Jesus' birth seems almost sacrilegious.
It does, but they did not believe in any outside ceremony. So even their weddings were a civil ceremony, like through the state, through the county, nothing religious to it. They were very focused that, your religion happened on your Sabbath, and then your prayer books and, in your home. It wasn't, and that's probably the reason they left the Lutheran Church in the first place, was they did not like all the ceremony and all the pomp and circumstance that went with it.
And celebrations, birthdays, did they recognize?
Probably usually not.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you did get any kind of Christmas gift, even after they quit, working on Christmas, it would have been something real simple. Like an orange, some candy, something.
For Christmas.
Yeah.
Easy to see how this died out.
Yeah.
But they sure lived in cute homes, and everything is so quaint and beautiful. What would the decorations have looked like back then, Annie? Did they decorate?
If they did, it would have been extremely natural. And then actually the Christmas tree is German in origin. It was actually Prince Albert that brought it from Germany when he married Queen Victoria. So if anything, they would have had a tree in very simple, natural, either pine cones, dried fruit, something they could have found around to decorate. If they did. Yeah.
And those are so beautiful. And when you find trees or wreaths done up that way in the very natural, I know, you remind me an awful lot of when we go to Virginia and Williamsburg and so forth. They all decorate very naturally as well. It's expensive. Those are expensive to buy them made that way. Touch on that.
It is. I think because a lot of people don't do it anymore. And then we decided this year that we were going to dress or decorate naturally. So we started drying oranges a while ago, and that's been a demonstration that we've done all fall to dry oranges and apples to get the decorations. And we've been collecting pine cones and just kind of trying to be resourceful about it. Rather than going to the craft store and buying something that's fake, we've been using the real. And then in the tin shop, we decided that we got it working again this year. It was shut down for a while. The tinsmiths have been making icicle ornaments, so the tin shop is going to be decorated in all tin ornaments.
Oh, my goodness. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous.
So we're trying to go with a made in Zor kind of a vibe for the Christmas
For
trees.
people wanting to do these kinds of things at home, first of all, go to Zor and buy it because they've been working hard all fall. But is there a way that would you give us a hint on how to dry oranges ourselves to put these kinds of things in wreaths?
Yeah, it's actually really not that hard. If you get an orange and you put it, our stoves are different. We don't have actual stoves. We just have like a stove top, so there's no oven. So you're supposed to kind of put them in the oven and dry them out by heating them. So you could put them outside and just let them dry in the sun. But what we did, but ours is easier because their stovetop actually completely opens.
Yes.
But it'd be harder on like the glass tops or whatever. But we strung the oranges between two pots and let them hang over the fire, over the heat. And then you get most of the moisture out, and then you hang them up somewhere in the house to dry out the rest of the way.
So pretty. And these are sliced?
Yes.
So you slice the apples and the oranges first, and then just dry them all out?
Yep.
String them together?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Right. And it's simple.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And so are you using all natural greens and so forth, too?
Yeah, we're trying to. There might be a couple artificial trees, especially the one in the tin shop because it's just real small. But, yeah, we're trying to do artificial or natural, and then we do a special one that it's just basically a large stick or a big, huge, I don't know what you call it, not a trunk, a big branch.
Yes.
And then it's got pine just wrapped around it. And that was a very traditional way of doing it, too. Rather than cutting down a whole tree, you just took the pine, or some of the pine branches and wrap them around another branch.
Sounds absolutely breathtaking. It's going to be beautiful. December 3rd and 4th at Zor Village. Now, take us around for people who've not been there in a while. I think they'll be surprised. It's not just a couple of houses along that street as you're driving through. There's more to Zor than meets the eye immediately. Can you give us a real quick audio tour, basically, of Zor?
Yeah, kind of the main focus of the village is the garden. And then we have museum buildings just about 2 or 3 blocks from either direction from the garden. The garden was always the center of town. We have our Zor store, which has been some sort of store since 1833.
Wow.
And that's where our gift shop is now. We have a blacksmith shop, a wagon shop, a hotel, which we're working on restoring in the future. The dairy is still there. The sewing house, number 1 house, which is kind of an administration building, or it was, the town hall, kitchen magazine, the garden house, which is also a greenhouse, bakery, schoolhouse, and the tin shop.
And finally, after all these years, when was Zor formed? When was it founded?
1817.
1817.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, you're going on the National Historic Landmark Register.
Yes.
What took so long?
I don't know. And even we were lucky too. Usually the process is extremely long. The Denison Depot down in Denison, about 30 minutes south of us, it took them 10 years to get on the list. Zor was fortunate. It only took 3.
Wow.
Which is still a very long time, but it was a lot shorter of a process than most have to go through.
I'm curious, and how long have you been there?
I have been there about a year.
About a year.
Yes.
So this isn't on you.
No.
Why on the world didn't somebody think of putting them on the National Historic Register before 3 years ago?
I'm not sure. And I know 3 years ago it all got kickstarted because there was the question as to whether to fix the levee or flood the town or move the town. And they were leaning towards not fixing the levee and just flooding the town.
No.
So it really kickstarted everything. And I think everyone along the way in the process recognized, hey, we cannot do this. We cannot flood the town. So I think that's how everything got pushed through so quickly. And I think they picked... this is right before Zoar's bicentennial, and also this is the centennial of the national park system. And they said whenever they picked this round of sites that they did that it was because they represented Americana at its best.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating that now you're going through this process. But help me understand and help me remember, really, when they started renovating Zoar. It's kind of just always been there, right? Those are original buildings, many of them, or some of them reproduced?
There's a couple that have been reproduced, but for the most part, they're original.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. The town was founded 1817. 1898, it dissolved. But many of the people that were in the town and in the commune decided they were going to stay in town because that was what they were given whenever everything was dissolved. So many of them stayed right there in town, either that or their descendants did. So there wasn't too big of a gap where everything was in disrepair. And it was about the 1930s that they decided to start to make things into a museum and really start to preserve the town as was.
Have there been any surprises of things that you've discovered as they put together the museum, or when you go into some of these buildings that you're starting to clean out and open up, like the hotel again? You find any very cool old things in there?
Not the hotel. The hotel was in private hands for a while. So by the time it got back to the museum system, it had been gutted. But the Bymiller has been a treasure trove of artifacts. The Bymiller, there was flooding back in 2008, and the Bymiller, the water seeped into the foundation, cracked the foundation, made it collapse, and then the rest of the house started to collapse.
Oh, my.
So they raised the Bymiller up 6 feet, put in a new foundation, and they've been working on restoring the brick. And in the meantime, as they're restoring the brick, they're cleaning out the inside and cleaning out some of the damage. And in the top of that attic, we have found a long-lost August Bealey painting.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's one of the Cleveland School artists, kind of this famous painter. His work is just beautiful. He was painting about 1900 to about 1970. We think this one's from about the 50s. But it's all these bright, beautiful colors, and then it's real, like kind of realism in the front. And when you look through the window to the garden's all surreal.
Oh, my.
So it's just this amazing thing. And he's got all these great pieces that are Zoar pieces. And a lot of artists from Cleveland came down because they were so inspired by the village and how quaint it really was. So we found that in the attic. And then when they were redoing one of the windows, they went through the window and looked in, and they found a scrapbook from the lady who had originally owned the house.
Oh, my gosh.
So that was incredible.
Fun. Oh, my word. And about when would she have owned that house? What years of scrapbooks are we looking at?
The scrapbook is from about 1898, which is amazing because that's the dissolution time. So she's got lots of articles about the dissolution, and she has a few articles. She's looking like she stopped right before the U.S. entered World War II. So there's this and it's this big.
What kinds of things in this scrapbook?
It's awesome. It has stuff about Zoar's dissolution. There was another similar village called Economy, and there's stuff in there about that dissolution. And then there's just little fun articles about the proper way to fold a napkin for a dinner party, or the best way to make a quail. And there's just all these little fun articles like thrown in with all these Zoar articles, and even some that are in German. Which we haven't had translated yet, but it's just this really great little collection.
So it sounds like things of interest to her. So politically, what was going on, and then just in her home, how to make quail.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. We have to take a quick break. We're speaking with Tammy Mackey-Shrum. She's from Zoar Village and is going to be telling us more about Christmas in Zoar and some other cool things after these words. You're listening to Our Community.